Hello friends, today we will do quick revision of the chapter Human Reproduction, which is very important for your class 12 board as well as NEET. Now we know that there are basic steps in human reproduction. First is gametogenesis. Now we should understand what we mean by this gametogenesis. Gametogenesis is the formation of gametes. In male, we know that there is formation of gametes, that is sperms, and in female, there is formation of ova. So the formation of gametes in humans is known as gametogenesis. Second is insemination. Insemination means when this semen is introduced into the body of the female in vagina. This is insemination. Now third is fertilization. Fertilization is fusion of male and female gamete. So when this male and female gamete, that is ova and sperm, fuses together to form zygote, it is known as fertilization. Fourth is blastocyst development. So after fertilization, the zygote develop into the blastocyst, and this blastocyst goes into the uterus. So fourth is blastocyst development. Fifth is implantation. Implantation means that this blastocyst has to be implanted in the endometrium of the uterus so that it can grow into the embryo. So this is implantation. And sixth step is embryo development. Now after implantation, there is development of embryo which will further lead to fetus formation. And seventh is this pasteurization, that is giving birth to the young one. After 9 months of gestation period, this pasteurization is there, that is giving birth to young one. So first we will study the male reproductive system. Now this is the diagram showing the male reproductive system. We can see different parts like ureter is there, seminal vesicle is there. Here the formation of sperm take place, right? Urinary bladder is there, vast difference. There are various glands like prostate gland is there. This is penis, and testes is there, and testes is covered by a bag-like structure which is known as scrotum. This is bulbourethral gland, rectum, and ejaculatory duct. So this is the diagram which is showing different parts of male reproductive system. Now we should know the function of each and every part. So we will study this male reproductive system in detail first. So the male reproductive system has 4 main parts. First is testes, second is accessory ducts, third is glands, and fourth is external genitalia. So fourth is external genitalia. This is the diagrammatic view of male reproductive system, which is showing different parts like ureter, seminal vesicle. One pair of testes is there. This is epididymis, this is retitestis, and bulbourethral glands. So every part has a specific function in fertilization. Now we will study each and every part in detail. First important thing is testes. So testes is situated in the pelvic region outside the abdominal cavity, and this testes is situated within a pouch which is known as scrotum. I have already told you that this testes is covered by a pouch-like bag-like structure which is known as scrotum. Now we should know what is the function of this scrotum. This scrotum is very small muscular sac, and it contains the testes. So one function of this scrotum is that it protects the testes, and second, it is located behind the penis. So function, it is protecting the testes. Now we know that testes are placed outside the abdominal cavity so that the temperature is 2 to 2.5 degree lower than the average body temperature. So it is also maintaining a particular temperature. Particular temperature is needed for the maintenance of the sperms. So the lower temperature in the testes is required for spermatogenesis, because spermatogenesis, that is formation of sperms, occurs at a definite temperature which is lower than the normal body temperature. So this particular temperature is needed. Now each testes has 250 compartments which is known as testicular lobules. So each testis is divided into 250 compartments. Each lobule contains 1 to 3 highly coiled seminiferous tubules. And these seminiferous tubules are the site of our meiosis. And after meiosis, they lead to formation of spermatozoa. So these seminiferous tubules are very important because here the meiosis takes place, that is reduction division takes place. And after meiosis, we get spermatozoa. Now we know that inner lining of the seminiferous tubule, it consists of two types of cell. First is spermatogonia and second is Sertoli cells. So these two types of cell are present in the seminiferous tubule. Now spermatogonia, we know that they are immature male germ cells and they undergo meiosis and finally lead to formation of sperm. So from each spermatogonium, it contains 46 chromosomes and this spermatogonium is diploid. Now Sertoli cells, what is the function of Sertoli cell? It is very important. This Sertoli cell provide nutrition to the spermatogonia because spermatogonia is present there. So these spermatogonia need certain nutrition. So this nutrition is provided by these Sertoli cells. Now there are interstitial spaces. These interstitial spaces are the regions outside this seminiferous tubules and they contain small blood vessels and some cells which are known as Leydig cells. So these Leydig cells are very important because these are the cells that synthesize and secrete testicular hormones which are known as androgens. So androgens are the hormones which are present in the male reproductive system. So these hormones are very important and they are synthesized by these Leydig cells. Now apart from that, there are various accessory ducts. These accessory ducts transport the sperms from the testes to urethra for their release outside the body because these sperms need to be released outside the body so that it can enter the female vagina and their fertilization takes place. So these accessory ducts play an important role in transporting the sperms from the testes to urethra. Now basically there are these accessory ducts which are present in the male reproductive system, that is retitestis, vas efferentia, epididymis, vas deferens, ejaculatory duct and urethra. Now apart from these accessory ducts, there are accessory glands. Now these accessory glands are first seminal vesicle, prostate gland and Cowper's gland, which is also known as bulbourethral gland. Now these seminal vesicles, these contribute approximately 60 to 75% of the fluid in the semen and the secretion is very rich in protein, enzyme, fructose, vitamin C and prostaglandins and they provide nutrient energy for spermatozoa. So these seminal vesicles are very important because first of all they contain 60 to 75% of the fluid which is present in the semen and they are also providing nutrient energy to spermatozoa. Now second gland is prostate gland. Prostate gland, it secretes slightly alkaline milky fluid and what is the function of this prostate gland? It is helping in the survival of sperms in the acidic vaginal environment. Now we know that vagina, the environment which is present in the vagina is acidic. So this prostate gland is helping the sperms so that it can survive in the acidic vaginal environment. And the secretions from prostate gland also improve the motility of the sperms. That means the sperms will move easily in the vagina with the help of the secretions which are obtained from this prostate gland. Now third is Cowper's gland or bulbourethral gland. Now we know that the secretion of this gland lubricate the penis and it also neutralize any residual activity in the urethra. So this is the function of Cowper's and bulbourethral gland. So these are the three glands which are present in the male reproductive system. Now important thing is that we should know that these androgens are the male contraceptive and over-secretion of androgen suppress the secretion of FSH and no spermatogenesis will occur. So these androgens, they function as male contraceptive. Now another point is that we should know that this semen contains sperms and secretion of seminal vesicle. So semen is a combination of sperms plus this seminal vesicle. And pH of semen is 7.2 to 7.3. Now, the sperm count in normal male should be 200 to 300 millions. Now, there are these two conditions are also present, like azoospermia. Azoospermia is a condition where the sperm is absent in the semen. So, if the sperm is absent in the semen of the male, this condition is known as azoospermia. And second condition is spermiuria, that is passing out of semen with urine. When this semen is passed out with urine, this condition is known as spermiuria. So these are the two important conditions we should remember, that azoospermia and spermiuria. Now we will study how this hormonal regulation occurs in male. This hormonal regulation occurs in male with the help of various hormones. First is gonadotropin releasing hormone. This gonadotropin releasing hormone is obtained from hypothalamus and it acts on the pituitary gland, anterior pituitary gland. Second is luteinizing hormone. Now, in case of male, this luteinizing hormone is known as interstitial cell stimulating hormone, and it acts on the Leydig cells and enhances the testosterone secretion. So, what does it do? It acts on these Leydig cells and it increases the testosterone secretion. Testosterone, we know that it is found only in males, so it increases this testosterone secretion. Now, third is FSH, that is follicular stimulating hormone. Now, this follicular stimulating hormone, it acts on these gonocytes of testes, germinal epithelium, and it enhances the spermatogenesis, that is formation of sperm. So, this FSH increases or enhances this spermatogenesis. Fourth is testosterone. Now we know that male sex hormone is known as androgens, and these are secreted from the Leydig cells or interstitial cells of the testes. It stimulates the development of male secondary sexual characters for sperm maturation. So this testosterone, it stimulates the secondary characters which are present in the male, which are responsible for sperm maturation. Sperm maturation is very important because after sperm maturation, it will go for fertilization. So this testosterone is playing important role in this sperm maturation. Next hormone is anti-Mullerian hormone. This is secreted from the Sertoli cells of seminiferous tubule. And what does it do? It inhibits the secretion of FSH and also inhibits the Mullerian duct in males. So it inhibits this secretion of FSH. So till now we have studied the different male hormones and glands and different parts of male reproductive system. Now we will go through the female reproductive system. The female reproductive system is specialized to support gametogenesis, ovulation, fertilization, we know. After that, pregnancy occur and birth and child care. So the female reproductive system consists of these parts. Like first is a pair of ovaries. A pair of ovaries is present. Second is a pair of oviduct. Uterus is present. Cervix, uterus is very important because implantation of the this trophoblast occurs in the uterus and the baby fetus will grow in the uterus. Cervix is there, vagina is there, external genitalia and mammary glands. So this is the diagram of the female reproductive system. Here you can see that this is uterus, urinary bladder, urethra. These three parts are external, that is labium minora, majora, vaginal orifice, anus, vagina and rectum. So these are different parts. Now we should study the function of each and every part. So first we will discuss the ovaries. Now we know that these ovaries are the primary female sex organ. So these ovaries are the primary female sex organ because they are associated with the fertilization. They are sexual characters. So they produce female gamete. These ovaries produce the female gamete, which is known as ovum. So the female gamete is ovum. They also produce steroid hormones, and which are known as ovarian hormones. So these ovaries produce various steroid hormones, which are known as ovarian hormones. Now this ovary is 2 to 4 centimeter in length, and it is connected to the pelvic wall and uterus by various ligaments. Now each ovary is covered by thin epithelium which is enclosing an ovarian stroma. So stroma is enclosed within the thin epithelium. Now this ovarian stroma, it is a matrix of the ovary, and it is divided, I have already told you that it is divided into two zones. First is peripheral cortex and second is inner medulla. So these are the two parts of the ovarian stroma. Now we will study what are the accessory ducts of the female reproductive system. Now this is the diagrammatic section of female reproductive system. Here you can see that this is the uterine cavity, this is the uterus, this is the part of fallopian tube. Fallopian tube is divided into three parts, that is isthmus, ampulla and infundibulum. So these are the three parts of the fallopian tube. This fallopian tube is also known as oviduct. Now finger-like projections are present, which is known as fimbrillae. Okay, so this fallopian tube is divided into three parts and it is also known as oviduct. And this fallopian tube is very important because it is the site where this fertilization of sperm and ova takes place. So this fertilization takes place in the fallopian tube. Now this is ovary. A pair of ovaries is present on either side of this. This is cervix, cervical canal, vagina. Now this membrane of the uterus is divided into three membranes. The inner one is known as endometrium. The middle one is known as myometrium and the outer one is known as perimetrium. So these are the three membranes of the uterus. Now this inner one, that is endometrium of the uterus, is very important. It is playing important role in implantation. When the trophoblast come in the uterus, it will be implanted in the endometrium, and this endometrium will secrete various hormones which will help in menstrual cycle, and so it is also playing important role in the menstrual cycle as well as implantation of the embryo, implantation of the fetus. And this is ovary and similar finger-like projection. So this is the fallopian tube, and here the ovum will reach this. This is the uterus. So this is the part where fertilization will take place. That is, sperm and ova will meet here. Ampulostemic region is there. This is the region, ampulostemic region, where fertilization will take place, and the zygote will move to the uterus and it will be implanted in the endometrium. So this diagram is very important. You should know different parts of the female reproductive system. Now we will study, as I have already told you, that fallopian, the other name of fallopian tube is oviduct, and it is very important because fertilization takes place in this fallopian tube. So each fallopian tube is 10 to 12 centimeter long, and it extends from the periphery of each ovary to the uterus. Now it is divided into infundibulum. Infundibulum, it is funnel-shaped part which is very close to the ovary. Fimbrillae, I have already told you, these are finger-like projections which are present at the edges of infundibulum, and they aid in connecting the ovum after ovulation. So after ovulation, the ovum reaches the fallopian tube, and ampulla is the wider part of the oviduct. Isthmus is the last part of the oviduct, and it has narrow lumen and it joins the uterus. So all the parts ultimately join the uterus because after fertilization, the zygote will enter the uterus. So uterus is very important. Uterus is also known as womb, and it is like in the shape of the uterus is inverted pear. Now it is attached to the pelvic wall by ligaments. This uterus is the part, or it is the main part where the embryo or fetus will develop. Okay, so this fetus or embryo will move to the uterus. It will be implanted in the endometrium and it will be develop in the uterus. It will develop in the uterus for 9 months. Now this uterus opens into the vagina. I have already told you that this uterine wall has 3 layers of tissue, that is perimetrium, myometrium and endometrium. Perimetrium is the thin most external layer. Myometrium is the thick middle layer, and it is made up of smooth muscle, and it exhibits strong contractions during the delivery of the baby. So this myometrium is helpful in the delivery of the baby. And innermost layer is endometrium. So this is the inner glandular layer that lines the uterine cavity. And this layer undergoes periodic changes during the menstrual cycle. So this is the layer which is responsible for menstrual cycle. It undergoes various changes. Various hormones are released and it undergoes various changes which results in menstrual cycle. So next part is cervix. Cervix is narrow canal which is connected to vagina. Cervical canal and birth canal is there. This cervical canal, the cavity of cervix is known as cervical canal. And the cervical canal along with the vagina, it forms the birth canal. So both the cervical and vagina, it forms birth canal. Apart from this, there are external female genitalia. These consist of various parts like mons pubis, labia majora, labia minora, clitoris. So these are the parts of the external genitalia. Now, apart from that, accessory glands are also there, like Bartholin gland, perineal gland, and rectal gland. So these are the three glands which are present in the female reproductive system. Now, how this hormone regulation occurs in female? So there are various hormones which are released in the female. First is estrogen. Now, what is the, you should know function of each and every hormone in male as well as in female. So this estrogen, what does it do? It decreases the secretion of this FSH so that maturation is assisted by this LH along with FSH. And it also helps in prominent growth of breast, lactiferous duct, which later carry the milk. So this is the function of this estrogen. Now, second hormone is progesterone. We know that this progesterone is secreted by corpus luteum. It checks the further development of follicle by checking the secretion of this FSH. Third function is it protects constriction in the uterus and it protects the abortion. So it helps in protecting from abortion. And next function is it helps in implantation. So it helps in implantation of the zygote to the endometrium. Now this next is FSH, that is follicular stimulating hormone. It induces the development of ovarian follicle. Second, it is also known as gametic kinetic factor. And lastly, it stimulates the secretion of estrogen, while this estrogen suppresses the secretion of FSH and it stimulates the secretion of LH. So this is the function of this FSH. Now last is luteinizing hormone. What is the function of luteinizing hormone? First, final maturation and ovulation takes place by this luteinizing hormone. This luteinizing hormone is also known as gamete releasing factor. Third, it induces the formation of lutein cells in ruptured follicle, which is converted into corpus luteum. And fourth, it stimulates the production of milk. So this is the function of luteinizing hormone. Now there are certain facts about sperm. We should know that this sperm has certain facts. First, lupin protein is present in the head of the sperm. So this protein is present in head of the sperm. Second, acrosome secretes acrosin, and this acrosin dissolves the acellular layer of zona pellucida. So this acrosin, what does it do? It dissolves zona pellucida. Third, hyaluronidase, this enzyme is present in the acrosome. It dissolves the cementing substance, hyaluronic acid, which is adhering the cells of corona radiata. So this is also important that this enzyme is present in the acrosome and it is helping in the fertilization by dissolving this cementing substance. Now, mammary glands, we know that a pair of mammary gland is present in female and they are paired structures of breast that contain granular tissue and fat is also present. Now this granular tissue in mammary gland, we know that it is of 15 to 20 mammary lobes. And the lobes have a cluster of cells which is known as alveoli. Now these cells of alveoli secrete milk because function of mammary gland is to secrete to feed the child. So the cells of these secrete milk. Now the milk is stored in the lumen or cavities and this alveoli open into mammary tubules. Now from these tubules, the tubules of each lobe join to finally form the mammary duct. and several memory ducts join to form this memory ampulla. So this memory ampulla is connected to lactiferous duct through which the milk is sucked out. So this is the structure of this memory gland. Finally, this ampulla is connected to the lactiferous duct through which the child can suck the milk. So this is the diagrammatic view of memory gland, which is showing various parts like lobe, alveolus, duct, ampulla, muscles, and pectoris. So this is the diagram of the memory gland. Now we should know what is gametogenesis. Gametogenesis, as I have already discussed, it is a process by the formation of gametes. Okay, so it may be female and male, both the gametes. So it is a process by the primary male and female sex organ which produce gametes respectively. So the formation of gamete is known as gametogenesis. Now in male, the formation of gamete is known as spermatogenesis, and in female, the formation of gamete is known as oogenesis. So in female, it is the formation of ovum, and in male, the formation of sperm. So first we will study the spermatogenesis. Now we know that spermatogenesis begins at puberty and it proceeds as follows. First, what happens, this spermatogonia, this we can see with this diagram, this spermatogonia, it multiply by mitosis and differentiation occur, and it results into primary spermatocytes. Now these primary spermatocytes, they undergo for the meiotic division to form secondary spermatocytes. Now these secondary spermatocytes undergo second meiotic division to form spermatids, which finally undergo differentiation to form spermatozoa. So spermatozoa is the final product. So this process is known as spermatogenesis. So this is the entire process of spermatogenesis, how this spermatogonia undergoes this successive mitosis and further two division of meiosis and results in spermatozoa. Now there are various hormones I have already discussed. There are various hormones which are affecting the spermatogenesis, like gonadotropin hormone, which is secreted by hypothalamus, and gonadotropin. In this gonadotropin, there are two hormones, that is FSH and LH. So this FSH acts on Sertoli cells and it releases certain factors which helps in the process of spermatogenesis. Whereas this luteinizing hormone, it acts on the Leydig cells and it increases the secretion of androgens, which also further stimulate this process, that is spermatogenesis. Now this is the diagram of the sperm. So this is plasma membrane, this is acrosome, nucleus. So this sperm is divided basically into three parts, that is head, neck, and tail. And middle piece is also there, mitochondria is also there, which is source of energy, as mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, we know. So this is providing energy for the sperms to swim. So these are the various parts of the sperm. Now we will study oogenesis. I have already discussed that oogenesis, the process of formation of the ova, is known as oogenesis, and it is initiated during embryonic development, embryonic stage. So this oogenesis we will study oogenesis with the above diagram. With this diagram, we can study oogenesis. This is oogonia. This oogonia undergo mitosis and finally results in primary oocyte. Now this primary oocyte, it undergoes first meiotic division and it results in secondary oocyte, and oocyte results in the ovum and a secondary polar body. So this is the process of oogenesis, that is from oogonia this ovum is formed, and primary oocytes and secondary oocytes are also formed. First polar body and secondary polar bodies also formed in the adult reproductive stage. So this is the entire process of oogenesis, that is primary oocytes are formed. Now after this primary oocytes, this gets surrounded by granulosa cell resulting in primary follicle, and the remaining primary follicle, they get surrounded by granulosa tissue cells and form the secondary follicle and give rise to tertiary follicle. So this is the, and finally we get the secondary oocyte and a tiny polar body. And secondary oocyte, they retain the nutrient-rich cytoplasm. Now the tertiary follicle, it changes into the Graafian follicle. So finally this ovulation occurs. This is the diagram of the ovary. This is showing primary follicle, tertiary follicle, Graafian follicle, ovum, and corpus luteum. So this corpus luteum, when Graafian follicle bursts, this corpus luteum is generated. Now we will study the menstrual cycle. This menstrual cycle is the reproductive cycle which is taking place in the female, and it occurs in like monkeys, apes, human beings. Now that this cycle starts with one menstruation till the next menstrual cycle, and it is of 28 to 35 days till one egg is released. Now this menstruation is the process by which the blood and mucosal tissue are discharged from the body, discharged in a periodic manner from the inner lining of the uterus, and it is discharged through vagina. So this is also known as period or monthly period. So this menstruation cycle is known as monthly period. Now what is menarche? Menarche is the first menstruation of human female. When the cycle occurs first, it is known as menarche. So it normally occurs at the puberty. So it gives signal for the beginning of the reproductive age in female. Now menopause is the permanent ceasing of the menstrual cycle. It occurs due to depletion of oocytes as a result of aging, and this menopause occurs between 45 to 50 years of age. So this is end of the period. Now there are various phases in menstrual cycle. First is menstrual phase, second is follicular phase, third is ovulation phase, and fourth is luteal phase. There are different 4 phases in the menstrual cycle. First phase is the menstrual phase. Now this is the period of menstruation when this menstruation starts. So this typically lasts for 3 to 5 days. Now in this period, what happens? There is breakdown of this endometrium lining of the uterus, and these blood vessels, they form a liquid substance that come out of the vagina. So this endometrium, which is broken down, it comes out of the vagina in the form of liquid, and it occurs when the ovum is released by the ovary, but it is not fertilized. That means there is no fertilization. No fertilization is going on, and so the ovum has been released, but it has not been fertilized. So it will result in the discharge of this blood. Now, lack of this menstruation may indicate pregnancy. If there is no menstruation cycle or no menstruation, it means the person is pregnant because the endometrium is thickened. So this second is the follicular phase. Now, this is the phase of maturation of follicles. Here the primary follicle is maturing, they get mature into this Graafian follicle. And this Graafian follicle, there are changes. We will start with the follicular phase. मैंने बताया follicular phase, this what happens in this follicular phase? The primary follicles, they grow and mature into Graafian follicles. And Graafian follicles further rupture to give rise to ovum. Now the levels of certain hormones also increase this follicular development, like luteinizing hormone, follicular stimulating hormone. These are gonadotropins that stimulate this follicular development. Now, third phase is ovulatory phase or ovulation phase. So this is the phase where the ovum is released from the ovary. And this is the reason the name is ovulatory phase or ovulation. So the level of this, both the hormones, that is LH and FSH, they are at peak value in the mid-cycle, that is around 14th day. And this is the time period where the maximum chances of fertilization. Now, what is this LH surge? The rapid increase this in the LH in the mid-cycle, this lead to maximum LH in the level, this maximum LH level, and it is known as LH surge. So this induces the rupture of this Graafian follicle and release of ovum, and it occurs on the 14th day because the levels of the hormones are at their maximum value. Okay? Now ovulation is, what is ovulation? The process by which the ovum is released from the Graafian follicle. From the ovary, it is known as ovulation, and it occurs on 15th mid-cycle, that is 14th day. Now, fourth phase was luteal phase. This is the phase of the formation of corpus luteum. Now, when this Graafian follicle, it rupture, there are certain remaining parts of this which are present in the Graafian follicle, and they form this corpus luteum. Now, this corpus luteum is a structure that is formed from ruptured Graafian follicle. Now, this corpus luteum secretes progesterone, which is essential for the maintenance of endometrium. We know that endometrium, it is very necessary for this implantation of the fertilized ovum and other events which are taking place in the pregnancy. So this corpus luteum, it secretes this progesterone, which will maintain this endometrium. This is the diagram showing the various. Now, this is the diagram of the menstrual cycle. First phase is menstruation, which is from 1 to 5th day. Second is follicular or proliferative phase. Third is luteal phase. So this follicular or proliferative phase, here the ovum is released. Okay, so this primary follicle develop into Graafian follicle, and Graafian follicle will rupture and it will give rise to ovum. Now, from it, the levels are maximum at 14 days. FSH and LH, both the level, the value is maximum on 14 days. That is in mid cycle. Now, what happens is after that, fertilization will take place of the ovum and the sperm. So, after 14 days till 1 week, this is the best period for fertilization. So after that, if the ovum is not fertilized, again the endometrium will break and the next cycle begins. So this is the entire menstrual cycle, which is of 28 to 30 days. And it contains 4 phases, that is menstruation, follicular phase, luteal phase, and this, and in the end, it is next cycle begins. Now, here we can see that ovarian events are taking place. The ova, the development of follicle is taking place. Primary follicle, it develops into mature follicle, and it is known as Graafian follicle. After that, the Graafian follicle ruptures and it results in ovulation, that is ovum is released. Now there are certain remnants which are present in this Graafian follicles. They form the corpus luteum, and this corpus luteum, what is the function of corpus luteum? It secretes progesterone, and this progesterone is helping the endometrium so that the zygote can be implanted. There are various changes occurring in the endometrium. So this progesterone will help the endometrium in implantation of the zygote. Here we can see that pituitary hormone levels are also indicated, and both the levels are high in 14th day, that is in the mid cycle. So this is the diagram of the menstrual cycle. Now we will study how this fertilization and implantation occurs in the uterus. Now this fertilization, we know that fertilization is basically the fusion of sperm and the ovum. So the ovum and sperm fuses and fertilization occurs. Now what happens during this fertilization, the sperm induces changes in the outermost zona pellucida layer of the ovum, and it blocks the entry of the other sperm so that only one sperm can fertilize the ovum. Now I have already told you that aprosome contain secretions or enzymes that help the sperm to enter the ovum through this zona pellucida and plasma membrane. So they help this ovum, the sperm, to fertilize the ovum fast. Now this also induces the secondary oocyte to complete meiosis, and again the unequal divisions occur. Now this haploid, we know that sperm is haploid and ovum is also haploid. So they fuse to form this zygote, and this zygote is diploid. It contains 46 chromosomes. Now after that, this zygote, it undergoes the mitosis and mitotic cleavage, and it moves to this uterus, and it forms 2, 4, 8, 16 daughter cells, which are known as blastomeres. Now, after that, the embryo with 8 to 16 blastomere is known as morula, and it further this forms the trophoblast. Now, this trophoblast contains 2 types of cell. One is outer cell that will attach to the endometrium, and inner cell mass, which will form the embryo. Now, this is the diagram which is showing the fertilization, This is the diagram which is showing the fertilization of ovum, this transport of ovum, fertilization and passage of the growing embryo in the fallopian tube. Here we can see that this is the ovary. Now from this the ovum is released. Now the primary, this ovum will undergo this fertilization at a particular place, that is ampullary stomach region. Here the fertilization will occur and fusion will occur of the sperm and the ova, and zygote will be formed. Now this zygote will undergo mitosis, cleavage, division. These are sperms and this is the ova. So this will undergo mitotic cleavage and blastocyst will be formed. So this is the blastocyst. Now this will undergo further mitosis and it will form 4 cell stage. Further it will form the 8 cell stage which is known as morula. Now this morula will further undergo mitosis and it will form this 16 cell stage. Now this 16 cell stage is known as this blastocyst, and this blastocyst, it contains 2 layers. First is outer one is it contains 2 layers. Now the purpose of the outer layer is that it will attach to the endometrium for implantation, and this inner cell mass will form the embryo. So this is the entire passage, how this ovum will go from fallopian tube to uterus, and this is the endometrium. Now it will enter the uterus and it will be implanted in the uterus. And if this blastocyst is implanted in the uterus, then there will be pregnancy. And if it will not be implanted in the uterus, then it will start against, menstrual cycle will be started and it will result in abortion. That means this blastocyst will be implanted in this endometrium. So this endometrium should be thick and stable so that it can withhold this blastocyst. So this is the diagram and how this transport of ovum occurs from passage from fertilization to going to the uterus and implantation. Now after implantation, we will study how this after implantation the pregnancy will occur. Now after implantation, finger-like projections, we know that chronic villi will appear on this trophoblast. Now this trophoblast, this chronic villi, they are surrounded by uterine and maternal tissue, and it will be integrated with each other and it will form the placenta. Now the function of placenta is that it supplies oxygen and nutrients to the developing embryo, and it also removes carbon dioxide and excretory waste material from the fetus. Now this placenta is connected to the embryo through umbilical cord. Now the function of the umbilical cord is that it will provide all the basic nutrients to this developing embryo and remove all the waste products. Now this placenta, it functions as endocrine gland, and so it produces 2 hormones, that is human gonadotropin hormone and placental lactogen, estrogen, progesterone. In later stages, it also produces relaxin, and this relaxin is associated with this giving birth, that is pasteurization. So during pregnancy, various hormones, the level of hormones increases, and the hormones are like estrogen, progesterone, prolactin. The level of these hormones increases to maintain the pregnancy. If the level of these hormones will not increase, then the pregnancy cannot be maintained. So to maintain the pregnancy, the level, we need a certain level of these hormones. Now after implantation, what happens, the inner cell mass, that is embryo, differentiates into 3 layers, that is ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. So these are these further differentiate to form different tissues. Now the inner cell mass, we know it contains stem cells which have ability to give rise to tissues and organs. Now this is the fetal development, that is during first month the heart is formed. So heart is formed in the first month. Now in second month the limbs and digits are formed. In third month major of the organs and systems are formed. In 5th month, there is appearance of hair on the head and first movement of the fetus start. So this is also important that first movement of the fetus starts in the 5th month. And 6th month, during 6th month, the body is covered with fine hair or eyelids and eyelashes separate. Now, after 6 months, in 9 months, we know that the fetus is fully developed. In 9 months, it is fully developed and it is ready for delivery. And this is the diagram showing the human fetus. This is the embryo which is attached with the umbilical cord, and this umbilical cord is providing all the nutrients, oxygen to the embryo so that it can be grown. And this is placental villi, this is yolk sac, this is cavity of uterus. So these are, this umbilical cord is providing all the nutrients, nourishment to the developing embryo. Now, other part is pasteurization and lactation. We know that the average duration pregnancy in human female is 9 months. And so this 9 months pregnancy is known as gestation period. Now, after that, the process of childbirth by which the fetus is expelled or delivered due to vigorous contraction is known as pasteurization. So this pasteurization is giving birth to the child. Now, after that, we know a fully developed this fetus and placenta is, and this induces pasteurization and it causes the mild uterine contraction which are known as fetal ejection reflex. So this, because of fetal ejection reflex, the baby comes out of the uterus. Now this triggers the release of oxytocin from the pituitary. So this hormone is released from the mother's pituitary. So this oxytocin, it stimulates the uterine contraction, which also helps in more production of oxytocin. And there is feedback reflex, which causes the contraction of this uterine wall till the baby is expelled out of the uterus. Soon the fetus is delivered and along with the placenta. So fetus comes out of the uterus along with the placenta. Now after that, lactation period is there. That is production of milk by the mammary glands of the females during the end of the pregnancy. So the production of milk by the mammary glands of the females towards the end of the pregnancy is known as lactation period. Now, this colostrum is very important. It is a milk which is produced during initial days of lactation. So, after delivery, the first milk which is produced by the mammary gland of female is colostrum. And it is very important because it contains antibodies that provide resistance and immunity to the newborn. So, this milk is providing resistance and immunity to this new born baby. Now, the antibody which is present in this milk is IgA. So this is very important that IgA is present in colostrum and it is providing this resistance and immunity to the newborn. Now, there are certain terms which we should remember, like first is monozygotic or identical twins. These monozygotic or identical twins, they are always have same sex and they are completely identical to one another. Because they are completely identical to one another, they are known as identical twins or monozygotic twins. Now, dizygotic twins or paternal twins, these two oocytes, they are ovulated and both get fertilized. Both get fertilized and both may have same sex or opposite sex. They may have different, they may be different in color, shape, size, or height. So these are dizygotic or paternal twins. Other is cismate twins. That is, these are actually monozygotic twins which are joined by a small area like head, neck, or pelvic region. So these twins are joined by small area. Next is pre-Martin. Now, two cow buffalo fetus of opposite sex have common placenta, which is known as pre-Martin. And in such conditions, usually the females are fertile. There are certain points also, like first is pregnancy test. We know that the selection of this pregnancy test is done on selection of HCG, that is human chorionic gonadotropin, and it is done from the female urine, and it can be detected after 10 days after fertilization. Now, hydrocele is the increasing of tissue fluid in scrotal sacs. When the tissue fluid is increased in the scrotal sac, this condition is known as hydrocele. Inguinal hernia is due to rupturing of this inguinal canal which passed through intestinal tissue into the scrotum. So this is caused by this passing of intestinal tissue in the scrotum. Vasectomy, we should know that cutting of vas deferens is vasectomy. On the other hand, tubectomy is cutting of this fallopian tube. So cutting of this fallopian tube is this tubectomy. So this tubectomy is usually done in females where the fallopian tube is cut so that the ova will not reach the place ischemic region and it will not fertilize with the sperm. So to prevent this fertilization, we do this tubectomy in female, that is fallopian tube is cut. Now colostrum, we know it is yellow colored milk which is produced during initial days and it contains IgA, which is important for providing the resistance to the body.